All right, we are live. Let's see what we got here. All right. See if anybody shows up for Maddie's video leftovers. I'll take Maddie's leftovers. How's that? See who chimes in. James will probably chimes in. There's Brother Craigie. How you doing, brother? What a day today. Did you hear about my 1,000 subscriber giveaway contest? Giving away that T20K TAC. So check my email. Which one? The Ken Small Engines? Because some people have been using my Gmail account, which is Ken Small Engines with an extra S at Gmail. So I usually use the AOL stuff. Oh, cool. Thought you were going to get a coffee, Matt. Yeah, it was about 3 o'clock today. I'd been working since about 7 o'clock this morning. I just dying for a cup of coffee. I'm passing a bakery in Monroe, a nice bakery there. And I said, you know what? So I pull in these prune danishes. They must have the size of a football. They had 2 of them sitting there calling me. You know, it must have been 4,000 calories. I said, you know what? Got them both. They were like $1.85 each. Drove down the street. There's a mobile gas station by me. $1 coffee, like 24 ounce. Great coffee. And you get a card. Every 6th one, you get one free. So I go in there. I get my 24 ouncer. I got equipment on the trailer. I pull in front of my driveway. I'm sitting there for 20 minutes watching YouTube in my truck, eating prune danish, drinking coffee. Oh, that felt so good. Felt so good. Yeah, I tell you, I could probably use one now. We just had my kids went out, bought what did they buy? Mexican fajitas. one wanted noodles from a Japanese place. The other one wanted like stir fried. The other one wanted something else. I said, I want fajitas. So where I live, thankfully, and Maddie knows this, I'm in an area where any kind of food or any kind of entertainment is within 5 minutes. So we're centrally located to everything. So it's pretty cool. But Greggy, it tasted so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. A little too much sugar like icing on it, but the prune, I hate when you get a prune Danish and there's no prune. You know, the ends where it's like just cake. I want squishy, gushy prune, you know? That way I get up the next morning, boom, I'm cleaned out. I'm good, you know? Yeah, I gotta get that Mexican, let it settle a little bit, and then I'll have my my Keurig. My wife gets a Dunkin' Donuts Keurig cup, so I'll have. I usually don't like Dunkin' Donuts coffee, to be honest with you, but I like McDonald's coffee better, actually. But no, today got a 125L trimmer. This is the lady. I did another video, Craigie. I actually downloaded software for my phone to edit videos. It lets you take all your video, make like 4, 5, or 6 into one, and then cut out stuff you don't want. And see, it was free. It was free download. But it's not the most user-friendly, and for some reason, I don't know if it's the memory in my phone or what, but when I try and upload it, I have to like send it to myself or send it to my photos. Now it says too big. So it's like, wait a minute, guys. What the heck's the sense? So I don't know. I'm going to try maybe tomorrow with the iPad and do it that way, because I had that blower today. One of my customers, yeah, but I don't have a PC, and I don't think that Filmora works with Chromebook. Because Chromebook doesn't have a hard drive. It doesn't have Windows or hard drive. It's actually everything's in the cloud. Everything's Google. So if there's a Google app in the Google store, I can get it. And there was very limited video software. So I'll try it again. We'll see. No big deal. Buffering. It shows full signal here, James. I'm surprised. My daughter bought a different amplifier router for us. Yeah, like I said, Craig, I just got to shoot $500-600, buy a tablet or something. That'd probably be better. But anyway, I picked up a Fredan blower for a customer. This is the one I did the video on with the fuel line, but I did the whole video this morning, like 5 or 6 individual videos, and I'm trying to put them together to do it. It's my sister-in-law's, and they just didn't take care of it. There's 2 casters in the front that have half 13 thread on the top. They were missing one of the casters for like 5 years, and it was just sitting in their shed, just rotting away. And I had to dip it in Evapo-Rust for a couple days just to get the nut and the thread to loosen up. So I did that. I fixed that, but I put gas in it because the woman who had this blower, the one I'm talking about for the fuel line, you know, there's no fuel. It's bone dry. I was like, huh. So I put fuel in it. I started up. It ran perfect. After about maybe 2 minutes, I looked, there was no leaks, no nothing. So after about 2 minutes, all of a sudden, bam, leaking like a sieve, not only out of the fuel fitting of the tank, but also at the nipple of the carburetor, which is literally an inch from the muffler. And I'm saying, crap, fumes, I'm going to blow this thing up. So I shut off the fuel petcock, tilted it on its side so it wouldn't drip near the muffler. And I put a piece of fuel line on. A friend of mine gave me about 50 feet of this. You'll see it in the video. It's like a cloth braided fuel line. It's actually rated for fuel injection and ethanol, but it's got like a cloth, like a nylon or cotton, whatever it is, cloth braid on the outside, which is supposedly good for abrasion. So I haven't really used it that much because I was a little nervous with the cloth covering, but it's good for abrasion. So it bent well, and it held the bend. And that's another thing with the braided covering; it'll hold a bend instead of having to buy the expensive molded hose. So, I'll use it. Horace says, "How you doing, brother?" Harold Fisher, welcome. Willie CK, look at this! Oh my God, all these guys saying. Remember, guys, get me to 1,000 subs. That tech could be yours. $100 tachometer, TT20K. I'm going to give it away. As soon as I hit 1,000, I'm going to go live with my phone like I used to, and I'm giving away a tech. So I already ordered it from Amix the other day. Should get it next week. They have them on sale usually about $100. They're usually about 120, but love that tech. I mean, Walter uses that tech. A lot of people. It's a great tech. It's got leads on it if you want to connect it. Otherwise, you just hold it next to the spark plug, and I love it. And it's got the recall. It's a great piece of equipment. So tomorrow is actually the Zagray show in Colchester, Connecticut. Maddie, I don't know if any of you guys know, if anyone you know are going. I'm definitely going. That's where I picked up the 262 XP and the 346 XP in the springtime before the get together. So I'm going to see. What are you saying, Willie? Let me read this here for a minute. I like the nylon hose, but not so easy to replace a filter. Yeah, this one here, I actually had a brand new tank because the tank on the MTD blower, the seam broke. It's an Intech overhead valve 5-horse engine. But I'll tell you one thing, guys. MTD blowers, I don't like them, the walk-behinds. And this is the reason why. The fan inside the housing on an MTD, there's like 3/4 of an inch gap between the impeller blade and the housing. So you're losing so much of your power and your mile per hour. It blows like crap. I got a 5-horsepower blower, the one with the fuel line. That was a Fredan blower. Same exact engine, except a Fredan with a cast iron impeller. Man, that thing blew. But you couldn't get a pencil or anything in the gap between the fan and the blade. So you took advantage of all the air in there. So it was night and day. I delivered the Fredan a couple hours ago, and I told the woman who had it, I said, good thing she didn't pour gas in it and start it, because it would have caught fire. But for a 5-horse, man, does it blow. It sort of reminds me of the Billy Goats and some of the other ones with the huge impellers, the real big ones. I mean, like the 11 horse blowers, Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Willie. Yeah, definitely. I've seen wood chips when people are blowing their beds out, their flower beds. I've seen wood chips get stuck in between the impeller gaps. That's why, on the snow blowers, I do that trick where you put the rubber on the impeller so you can like go through water and stuff like that. I was thinking about trying on the MTD blower and see if it makes a difference, because I know if you got it totally sealed, you'll get a lot better performance out of it. So we'll see. We will see. Oh, you're working tomorrow, Manny? Oh, that's right. You do work Saturday once in a while. I forgot about that. Well, the show's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today I had work, so I couldn't go today. But tomorrow, a buddy of mine at the shop is leaving at about 9-10 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably tag along with him, unless my buddy Rich, everyone knows my buddy Rich, the welder, the best mechanic in the world. If he wants to go, I'll go with him. But we'll see. We will see. Yeah, someone gave me a Mack truck mud flap one time. I was using that rubber. Another person gave me some rubber flooring that was in a health club that was about 3/8 thick. I was using that too. But mud flaps are really good because they're insulated with the cloth. That's what you want. You want the cloth insulated rubber when you do the snowblower impeller tricks, because the cloth strengthens it. Another thing too, bumpers for tractor trailer. You probably know this, James. the dock bumpers for tractor trailers that are on all the docks consists of sandwiched rubber and it's got the rubber with the cloth impregnated into it, and they sandwich like 10 or 12 of those together, and that's what makes the dock bumpers. And if you could find, you can go to a dock or something, if they're usually they throw them out because they wear over time. And I tell you, you take the screws and nuts out and you have like 20 of these freaking pieces of rubber, and they're beautiful. They work great. I mean, we had guys at our place, they don't know how to back up. It's like, bam, they whack these bumpers like crazy. And you see the welded bumpers on the tractor trailers, are all bent down because these guys don't know how to back up. I guess, I don't know, maybe they can't judge distance, but sometimes the guys are pulling into our dock and you hear, bam, they just don't know what the heck they're doing. I guess if they don't own the trailer, well, they don't care. But when it's an owner operator, it's their trailer. Yeah, they're usually a lot more careful with it, Yeah, they don't care. What else? Customer dropped off, and I told him just throw it out. It's a Troy-built handheld blower, 31cc. It probably costs no more than $80 brand new. I've fixed it each year for like 2 or 3 years, just carb adjustments, things like that. But this year, it's got one of those like speedy starts where you pull it, and the spring side makes it whip around a couple, 2, 3 times as fast. The inner guts for that speed start, the inner guts for the speed start is like $13 to $15, and then you have to take half the unit apart just to get to it. And I said to him, I said, really? The guy makes $100,000 a year. I said, you can't spend $150 and buy a decent little handheld blower. So anyway, yeah, back it up. You got to have good distance, judging distance. That's the thing. If you can't judge distance, you're in trouble. Especially, I use mirrors a lot. I love using mirrors. Everyone yells at me, saying, why are you looking in the mirror? I love using my mirrors. And I tell you, I can get real close, Oh, but Craigie, this thing here, I'll show a picture of it tomorrow. It's got like a T handle on it, and there's like a linkage that goes like that for choke. And just, it's such a piece of crap. It looks something, I don't even think a homeowner would want it. And another thing too, I think the cylinder's loosened up because there's all kinds of oil and stuff, dripping down the side. So the cylinder's probably loose. And on those, if I'm not mistaken, MTD, Troy built MTD, the gasket is an actual molded O-ring material type gasket. So when those leak, they leak like crazy. So we'll see. Yeah, and they're always given to you, Craig. Most of the time people go to the dump, they find something. I love those customers. They come over. Can you fix it? Anything can be fixed. How much do you want to spend? And then they tell you, oh, I've had it for years, and you just saw it a week ago at the dump. So it's, a freebie, But no, if Maddie's still on, I did order the carburetor. It was $35. And I said to the woman, I said, just the fuel line for that Husqvarna blower, or was it? No, trimmer. Just the fuel line for the 125L is $15. It's a molded grommet with 2 lines, one for the primer and one going up for fuel. And then the one, it goes 2 into grommet into 1, goes to the fuel filter. But it's $15 just for that piece. But I've tried some of the aftermarkets with that. They don't last. They shrink. They don't fit right. So I went to the dealer and bought it. But then when I asked the dealer about the carburetor, he's like, well, I got to order it. Well, I go on Amazon. It says it's going to be delivered Sunday. How can you beat that, with the Prime? So if it's delivered Sunday, I mean, our post office around here, our mailman only on Sundays, they just deliver packages. So all day long, when you see the guys going up and down the street, it's not mail, it's just packages. Yeah, I mean, Prime is a joke anyway because they mark up the price anyway. You see something not Prime is $28. You see it with Prime is $33. They're getting the money for the shipping. It's a joke. It really is a joke. So anyway, Prime night, or is it good night? Bama Mudmower, good evening. How are you? Hey, Mudmower, you ever talked to Lucky 7? I know he had his accident there last month, and I think he's recouping with his screws and everything in his leg, but did a nice job rebuilding his mud mower. So check out his channel, Lucky 7 Mud Mower. Like I said, tomorrow, the Zagre Farm Show, huge. It's like 100 acres out in the open. They have an operating sawmill, steam shovels, stationary engines, all kinds of stuff. I'll see if I could do some videos from there. Last show, I believe I did a couple videos and then just fed them through the cell connection. I'll see if I can do that when I'm up there. You're way out in the open in Colchester, so the signals aren't that great, but I'll see if I can do it because the sawmill is huge. I mean, I think it's a 7 or 8 foot diameter blade on that sawmill. It's unbelievable. 4 or 5 people to operate it, and they do a real nice job. And all the wood they use up there, they actually build the outbuilding, so it's pretty cool. So I'm definitely going to send some more. I did. Craig, if you look back in, I believe is it May? Yeah, it was May, because that was the show I bought the saws. May around the 10th or 11th, something like that. Look for my video for the Zagre show, and you'll see the sawmill, operating sawmill. It's a great place. Steam shovels too. They actually have a lot of diesel and steam shovels. They have a huge like dirt sand pit, and they operate those. Tractor parade, like any good show, has a good tractor parade, stuff like that. Like I said, the summer show isn't that good only because of the heat. A lot of people don't like the heat. The spring show in May is great. Summer show, because of the heat, not too bad. Fall shows are always good. Last week, I did a video with my buddy Myron. Thumbs up to Myron. Octogenarian will be a nonagenarian, whatever you call it, for something in the 90s next year. But thumbs up to Myron. I gave him a hand last night with a command engine. I love Myron, one of my best friends. Maybe he'll go to the show. He was at the Kent. If you guys caught my video on the small engine shop at Kent at Connecticut Antique Machine Association, Myron was there. There's old trucks. I don't know about 18-wheelers. They're definitely like B models. You'll see B model Max, B28s and all the different Bs. Tons. For some reason, the Max, even the chain-driven Max with the doghouse-looking hoods on them with chain drive rear axles. You see a lot of those up there, James. But that B model Max, I think a couple of old Peterbilts I saw up there, but it all depends on who wants to show up. The fall is the better show. The ground up there is nice and dry, and the grass isn't growing too heavy. So, it's all in the open. Everyone's there to sell stuff and just have a good time. Family friendly, campers, everybody's allowed. At Kent, it's a little political where, they don't like you to drive stuff around and things like that. Whereas Zagre is a little more friendlier for the family. Kids want to drive around their little motorbikes and stuff like that. As long as they're safe and practice, safe driving, it's cool, But yeah, James, like I said, the old ones with the doghouse hoods and chain drive in the back. There's a bunch of those that show up with steel wheels, things like that. They'll be there. I'll take some video tomorrow. I'll definitely take some video. There is, I believe, in Brooklyn, Connecticut, Brooklyn Fairgrounds, a huge truck show that they have each year, James, where every brand is represented, from the newer like Volvos to the old, Peterbilt's Max and Rios, Diamond Rio, Studebaker, all the older stuff too. That stuff's all done. So pretty cool. Who's got a new shop? Willie's got a new shop. I love seeing a new shop. Oh, Doug. Oh, you undercover, Doug? I don't even want to get involved in that stuff. That's not my issue. But welcome, just the same. How you doing, buddy? What else am I working on? I keep telling everyone I got that 257 on my bench for the past 8 weeks that the customer's getting angry with. I just have to do seals, Maddie. If you're out there, not a big job to do the seals on those on a 262. And I have the kit. Bought the whole rebuild kit. I bought the seals. I bought cable rings. So I want to get that going too. So hopefully, maybe Sunday. It's a good day Sunday. I'm going to take vacation, not next week, but the following week, get some repairs done on the house before it gets too cold. But now they're talking frost. Maybe frost tonight or next week. And it was cold today. I mean, I love it. Believe me, I got like Long John t-shirt on, which I love. But it was cold. I mean, woke up, it was like 47, and I think it just got to 60 today, I think, or even low 60s. So, yeah, whoever's on, I think I'm subscribed to everybody that's on here. I got tons of subscriptions that I'm on, but those that don't know, 1,000 subscribers. Once I hit it, giving away that DTI TT20K TAC. It's a great piece of equipment, and hopefully some lucky subscriber will win. But I want to get to that 1,000 mark. For some reason, I'm dying around 125 or so. I'm trying to put more content out. My daughter's got a GoPro that I got to learn how to use so I can get some stuff. I just have to get editing because right now I'm doing mostly live stuff because it's easier for me with the Chromebook. I record stuff with the phone, but I don't really have too good of an editing software with the phone, so I really can't do any really in-depth stuff. I saw Bruce Pender today did a bunch of carb cleaning and rebuilds and stuff. It was long. The video is 20, 30 minutes. I mean, they're long videos, and I'd love to do that. It's just that I don't have the bandwidth or the wherewithal with my phone to get something like that done. Upper 90s. Ooh, Talladega, the big one, right? The big wreck. Every time you hear Talladega. Anyway, I'm trying to think. Is it Tim? Who's Atlanta? Because I was going to say, you won today. The Cardinals. You beat the Cardinals today, Tim, if Tim's on. Because the Cardinals and the Braves were playing. And I think the Cardinals won yesterday and Braves won today. So it's 1-1. Anyway, yeah, keep the heat. But you said it was warm today, Craig, didn't you? Yeah, I usually get what you get a couple days later. But I tell you, we had, was it Wednesday, hit 93 here in Connecticut, which is ridiculous. But that was the high from like 1927. But then the next morning, 40s and 50s. So there's Tim. Yeah, so your team won, Tim. I actually watched part of the game. It was a pretty good game. I thought St. Louis might come back at the end when they had two guys on base and only one out. But that pitcher was pretty good, so it worked out well. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else I'm working on. That Cup Cadet that's in my driveway, I got to get that finished. It's one of these things where it's Kohler K-Series, and that's how I cut my teeth on Kohler K-Series back in the year 2000. That's all I worked on for probably 3 or 4 years. And this one here has me stumped a little bit. You turn it on, brand new carburetor on it, coil, electric, everything's good. You turn it on, it just like spit, spit, spit. And it doesn't really, you can't give it throttle or anything. And I haven't checked the valves yet. Everyone's telling me check the valves. I'll check the valves. I'll take the head off, see what's going on. But that's something where I got to get, it's a good friend of mine's bought it, and I want to get it back to him. So maybe I can get to that Sunday as well. If I can get the 262 seals in, the rings in, and then work on that Cub, that'll be good. We'll see if that trimmer carburetor comes Sunday, like they said. We'll see. NASCAR. I don't really have, I like, Kyle Busch, because he's a badass and he just doesn't give a crap. But I really don't have, anyway. I'm like most people. I record it and, you scan until you see the wrecks like most people. But I'm more of a drag racer. I did drag racing for years in the 80s when Connecticut Dragway was open until 86. I crew chiefed on a bunch of cars, mostly like Super Street, Super Gas, Super Comp, bracket racing, stuff like that. Mostly Chevy, but I've done other brands too, Mopars and Fords. But more of a drag racer at heart, to be honest with you. But I'll watch NASCAR. I love NASCAR. Pretty cool. Let's see. Let's call it the wrong way. Yeah, I checked out his website, that I Save Tractors. He's come a long way. He started out with nothing, and then all of a sudden, he's like this huge parts guy. I used to deal with a place in St. Nance, Wisconsin, to get all my Kohler parts because I knew the guy personally, and I used to deal with him all the time. But I stock most Kohler stuff, definitely the K-Series. I probably have 13 engines for rebuild sitting in my basement that I could do whatever I want. Oh yeah, Hubert Platt. Yep, absolutely. Yep, definitely. Good. Yeah, Hubert Platt, the racer. Yeah, that's going back like the 60s, I think. I actually met Don Garlitz back in 84. He opened up his museum of drag racing in Ocala, Florida, because that's where he's from. And I was one of the first visitors down to my girlfriend and I at the time. Went on vacation to Disney and all that, and we drove out there. And I walk in, it was 3 p.m, and I think I said, hold on one second, guys. It's funny what you say if you talk about drag racing. Toucan, Don Garlitz. That's when I went to the Museum of Drag Racing in 1984. Don actually signed this. I walked into his museum. There was nobody there. It was just open. It was like the first week it was open. And I went up there and I go, "Hey, Don, how you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, just sitting behind the desk." And I said, "Can I get an autograph?" And I didn't have a pencil or pen. So he grabs one of his things and he signs it. "What's your name?" "Ken." So to Ken, Don Garlits. So my 5 minutes of fame with Don Garlits, and he's still racing, in his late 80s or whatever it is. So, yeah, Hubert Platt was definitely a good racer. But yeah, I visited Don when he opened up in '84. So love drag racing. Absolutely love drag racing. NASCAR, yeah, it's okay, but drag racing, the winner's like right there. You don't have to wait 2-3 hours. Like there's the winner. So, but interesting. Let's see. What else is going on? Who else is here? Yeah, like I said, tomorrow's Ag Show. I'm hoping I can get something. I'll bring a little wad of cash because some customers paid me today, which is good. And how do you guys that charge for anything? Let me ask you a quick question. Well, how do you feel about checks? Now, I tell people, if you give me a check, there's a fee. Because when I have a check, I have to wait not wait. It puts my account on hold for that amount for 3 days, 3 business days until it clears. So I tell my customers, look, if I can't take your check and go to Home Depot and buy stuff or go anywhere and buy stuff, I have to put it in there, deposit it, wait till it clears, and then take it out, or charge it against my money, which, is not fair to me. So I tell people, look, if you want to pay me by check, it's $5. Okay. Depending on the cost of it means if it's a huge bill, $10 or whatever. But I hate when I do a job quick and dirty, a carb adjust or something like that. That's say it's $10, $15, just takes you 5 minutes or whatever. And they want to give you a check. I had one guy at work. I waited 3-4 days for this guy. He owed me $10. Okay. Check. I said, "Are you kidding me? I can't take that, 2 totes of NOS Kohler parts dating back to the 50s to 90s. Oh, wow. Yeah, I tell you, as far as Kohler parts, K-Series anyway, I got a ton. A lot of NOS stuff. I have a brand new NOS 16 horsepower short block that people have been dying to buy off of me because it's a 13 fin. So I'm going to use that for one of my projects, but it was NOS, brand new. A friend of mine had it in his basement. So anyway, but let's see. Yeah, I tell you, Kohler K-Series, my rebuilds range from the cheapest I could probably rebuild one with all machine work and everything else, probably about $450 for a rebuild using some aftermarket parts. I've rebuilt them all the way up to $900 to $1,000 for a rebuild with all NOS parts. I had one customer with a Massey Ferguson. He wanted all NOS, and the piston was $160 for this 14 horsepower I did for him. And but he wanted all Kohler NOS, and his block was so good, he only needed a 3-over piston, which is the most expensive piston they sell. A 10-over piston's like $100. The 3-over was like $160 because you just can't find them. And it was a style D piston with the cross hatching on the sides. So, but I also like to use stuff from Brian Miller. Anyone who's interested in Kohlers and pulling and stuff like that, Brian Miller. I mean, I know people have problems with them, different issues or whatever. I never have. I mean, I've had him insert the Clevite 77 bearings into connecting rods for me. Always worked out great. He didn't want to for some reason. He knew they sold a 3,000 piston. He didn't want, because all I had to do then, I have the rigid hone that I use with a 1/2-inch drill, or I can put it in my Bridgeport. With the rigid hone, I only had to take out almost half a thou, and it was already to 3,000 specs. So it saved him $70 instead of doing a full 10 bore. Now, 10 bore, don't let people fool you. You don't bore at 10. You hone it to 10. You put the rough stones in, you get it to within a thou, then you put the medium and fine stones in, and you finish up to what you need. People think, oh, I bored at 10. No, you don't bore at 10. You hone at 10. I mean, you could hone 20, 30, depending on the stones you have. It all depends. Yeah, the old Amoco hone, I have one of those. But it all depends on how the bore is. You're allowed 1,000ths out of round and taper in the bore. So if your bore, a hone follows the geometry you have. So if your bore is tapered and out of round, it's going to stay tapered and out of round because a hone does not correct geometry. It'll follow what you have. Now, the rigid hones, you'll get a little better with the rigid hone depending on how much you're taking off. But like I said, hones in general will mimic the geometry that's in there. So if it's wickedly tapered or wickedly out of round, it's not going to correct that unless you're taking a lot of material out, like 20, 25 or something like that. So cast iron prigs, I've done a few of those for simplicities. Some guys like those, like what's the guy? Zippo Varga. He's really into those things. But Craig, I've got all three Amoco hones, the three different sizes to go from like thimble size pistons, like on a Farmall Cub, all the way up to like a 4 1/4, 4 1/2. There's three different kits they sell. I got all three. Also, New Way. I've got a bunch of the New Way valve cutters. I love New Way. When I discovered them, 20 years ago, I actually had them grind me custom pilots to use on Kohler K series. Because what I'll do is I'll check. I don't know if you guys know, the way to check valve guides is you put a little bit of oil on your stem of your valve, put the valve in, hold your finger on the bottom of the guide, pull the valve up. If you hear that pop noise, it means the clearance is okay. That was a trick that Myron taught me actually years ago. You lube up the stem, hold your finger over the bottom of the guide, pull it out quickly. If you hear pop, that means the clearance is good. I actually have dial bore gauges and pin gauges and all that stuff, so I can check everything because I'm an engineer by trade and I have all that stuff and mics and verniers, calipers, plug gauges, surface plate. I have all that. So, I'm used to dealing in millions, to be honest with you, because one company we worked in millions. So whenever I do something like that, I make sure it's to tenths, Starter in what, Craig? The starter in the in a Briggs or what? Yeah, it's funny. I had 9 Cub Cadets, the International Harvester ones. I think I'm down to like 4 or 5, but half of them are the Bendix starters, the AQS. The other half are starter generator. So the starter generator, I just like the sound of it, but the problem is when a belt gets wet, that's a problem. It slips. It depends, though, Tim. I mean, I always do the bearings and brushes in starter generators because it's easy enough to do them in the AC Delco starter generators. Don't have too much of a problem with the AQS motors with the Bendix starter. I usually have them on the shelf anyway. DB Electrical sells them relatively inexpensive. You can get them for like $60. So I'll usually stock a couple of those just in case. I have seen people, though, that keep the key when it doesn't start, they'll burn them out. I have seen that. But there's a trick. David Kirk, he's a Cub Cadet guy that I have known for years. I think he works at Mercury Marine or or Evinrude or one of those. I think maybe Mercury out in Wisconsin, one of the outboard places. He's an engineer. But he actually used the Magnum starter, which has a different bearing plate on it than a K series because the starter mounts a different way. He actually modified using the guts of the Magnum starter, which is a better starter, to adapt it to the nose piece for a K series starter. And I tell you, it worked out good. It's called Kirk Engineering. Look him up. He's got what's called the Killer K series, called Killer K. He did a 12 horsepower AQS build on a 1250 Cub. All these little tricks he does and parts that he sells are on his website. He's the inventor of what's called the Point Saver, which is the transistorized ignition that makes it so that your points have microcurrent, so they never wear out. So David Kirk Engines, look him up. All the guys that are into Kohlers and pulling and just looking for some cool stuff like that, look up David Kirk. He's got some real cool stuff. Really cool. And also Brian Miller's site. I mean, if anyone wants to know about Kohler K series and pulling and magnums and all that, the best site is Brian Miller. I mean, he's got so much educational information and he sells anything and everything. I know people have issues sometimes with his shipping methods and things like that and deliveries, but I love Brian. I think he does a great job. So, I know people have problems, but I never have. He's been a great person to me. So, let's see. Yep, 500. Yep, I got the 500. I got the 250 kit, the 500 kit, and there's another one after that. It was just extra. The the stone and the felt holders that slide in. It works on the 500 kit, but they're extra long, so I can get to like 5-6 inches. So I was doing a car one time, and the guy was going like 5.25. So I ended up buying the shoes, the extra long shoes. So whatever, no big deal. He paid for it. So I'm the type of guy, if I'm doing a job, I'd rather pay the money for the tool and do it myself than pay someone to do the work. Now I have nothing. So that's the way I get my tools. I price it in a job and, buy myself a tool. So, all right, guys, let's see. Airplane points. What's special about airplane points, Tim? I don't know if I'm familiar. When you say airplane, like from what, like a Lycoming or something like that, or Continental? What type of airplane engine? I mean, I'm familiar with Lycoming because they used to make them here in Stratford, Connecticut. Avco Lycoming. Continental, another airplane engine. Interesting. Never heard about that before. I know people use Chevy points in Kohler K series. I've seen that before, where they take a little piece of angle iron, they modify Chevy points to be used. But like I said, David Kirk, if you buy it's a transistorized, it's called Point Saver, and you hook that up. What's cool about it's got an LED on it to tell you when the point's open, so you do your timing. You use this LED, so it's pretty cool. It's a good invention. He's got the patent on it, I believe, and he sells them on his website. He sells the Bosch Blue coils, all the stuff that you really need for like a case series. So pretty cool. So, oh, no kidding. Oh, that's a good contact then. They won't get oxidized then. Oh, that's cool. Gold. Any particular brand, Tim? I'm just wondering. Because I was going to say, the last time I think points have been in an airplane engine, is that you going back to like Radial days? Or, well, that was Magnetos. That wasn't really points. Huh, interesting. I was going to say, what engines have distributors in them that still use points? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, we had that plane crash here the other day in Bradley Airport here in Connecticut, where a B-17 crashed, 7 dead people. So not good. But now they're saying that there was a problem with the engines or something. But sad to see one of those World War II planes go down, especially with a bunch of 13 people on board. It's just sad day up there. But all right, guys, I'm going to hit it. Remember to subscribe, like, tell your friends. Thank you all for coming. Definitely be safe out there, whatever you're working on. I've heard a couple of accidents this week with chainsaws, and I've seen some of the aftermath in the emergency room. My mother works in the hospital, and just be safe. Definitely be safe. Buy chaps, safety gear, glasses, gloves. Just be safe out there, guys. All right, that's it for me. I will be on tomorrow. I will hopefully throw some videos together from the Zagreus show. I'll upload some stuff from the show, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon. So, all right, guys, take care of yourself. We will talk to you soon, guys. Thanks for everyone showing up. We will see you later.